Okay, folks, we're ready for the next module. And I think this one is going to be very interesting to you as well. I know there's a lot of things to remember, but this is what it's all about. And that's why you get on TV. So let's talk about this. The first one is radio versus TV. Now, I do 12 radio shows a month. So I can pretty much talk to this very, very succinctly. The difference between radio and TV normally is the amount of time you have. When you're on a radio talk show, usually on for anywhere from 15 to 20 minutes to an hour. However, you still want to limit your responses. Sometimes I have guests that go on and on and on, and literally I have to get in the middle of them to get them to stop talking and switch the subject a little bit. The reason being, people change channels. They're listening in their car or they're listening maybe at home, but they change their minds. They don't want to hear one person talking all the time. So I try to get my guests to limit their responses. Not that I want to cut them off, but it's just they need to be able to limit their responses. The other thing is that TV. I remember I told you 3 minutes. Even you'll notice even the big celebrities that come on the morning shows, they're not on for very long. They're on for maybe 3 minutes. Maybe they're on for 5 minutes, but they're not on for any longer than that. So don't feel like you're being, neglected because you only get 3 minutes. Everybody is in that situation. So radio definitely gives you more time than TV. You're not as visual, so you don't have to worry about, looking so proper. As a matter of fact, many radio shows today are done on the internet and not in person. Even on regular stations, they don't have to come into the station to be on the air. For instance, my shows are all done on audio Skype. And even though I send out notices all the time to my guests saying it is audio Skype only, some of them go on video and could get all gussied up, and they don't need to because we can't use the video. It takes up too much bandwidth. So that's the main difference between radio and TV. You have much more time on radio. You very often can do it from your pajamas or from wherever you are. So that's basically it. How you pitch is really important, and that's where your segment proposal comes in, your contact with the producer, or even the receptionist. Now, some stations, I know you're not going to believe this, but I've gone through it. Some of the stations don't even have a receptionist. They're so small, they just don't have anybody answering the phones. Everything is automated. So, how you pitch is important. You might get them to get you through to the person you're trying to reach. Like many times I've told you, it's taken me 8, 9, 10 phone calls. And so I'll say to the receptionist, if there is one, it's really important that I get in touch with Jane Doe. She really has asked me to get in touch with her to do a pitch on her show, but I can never seem to reach her. Is there a preferred way? Someone texting, someone phone call, someone email, but find out from the receptionist. They will know how the segment producer wants to be reached. So that's important. And then, of course, next is what you pitch. Because, if you are saying something that is just not of interest to them, they're not going to book you anyway. Just like, the LA station where I was not really a fit for their demographics, and the Hartford, Connecticut station where thought I was too risque. So, what you pitch is very important. But on the other hand, if, for example, I was someone, even though I'm over 50, but let's say I'm a doctor and I was talking about vaping, that's really an interest for the younger crowd. So the LA station would have booked me, even if I was 80 years old, if I was a physician talking about the dangers of vaping for young people. So what you pitch is very, very important. And again, we've talked about this, but I want to emphasize it again, the right audience. I mean, believe it or not, you're going to think I'm terrible here, but I've never really watched any of the real reality shows. I've never watched The Bachelor. I've never watched Real Housewives. I've never watched Survivor. Those are not my kind of shows. So if you have a bunch of me, you're not going to get them on that kind of a show or to talk about that kind of a show. But if your audience just loves like Hunger Games or loves any of the Way Out trilogies, then you would be somebody who they would invite to be on. So make sure it's the right audience. there's usually no more than 2 to 6 weeks lead time. And very often it's less than that. Sometimes it's never really more than that. But if I'm going to be in a particular area, I will usually say to them, I'm going to be in the Cleveland area the second week in whatever, and when would be the best time to reach your producer? And they'll tell you. Or I'll say, I'm going to be in Cleveland the first week in March. Would it be appropriate for me to send in a segment proposal 2 weeks ahead of time? They might say, oh, no, we need much more lead time. Or they might say, that's perfect. So again, 2 to 6 weeks lead time, that's usually what it is. And then who books the shows? And then and say, may I speak to the producer who books the guests? Or are you the person who books the guests? Whatever you say, do it in 10 to 15 words, no more than that. Get it out and get it said. So may I speak to the producer who books a guest? That's what, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 words. And are you the person who, again, 10 to 15 words, and that'll do it. And that's all you need. That's really all you need. And they'll give you, I mean, they're used to people calling all the time. The person who is on the phone, they'll know what to tell you. This is the worst, but you have to do it. As a last resort, leave a message because very often you're never going to get to the producer. And I know that's just awful, but it's what happens. I will tell you that the likelihood that they will call you back is rare. But if you feel like you have to leave a message or you're going to warm them up by leaving a message, this is Gail Carson, and I have a segment on 3 ways to get a second career started, or the 3 worst mistakes you make in starting a second career. If you're interested, here's where you can reach me, or I will call you back in such and such a date. Whatever it is, get it out, say it, and then just keep after them. I know you think you're being a pest, but if you want to get on TV and you want to get on that particular show, that's what you're going to have to do.